Hey guys, I'm Jared, and today we're talking about what's new in board gaming as of September 23rd, 2022. I'll be covering the latest news, announcements, most played games, hot new Kickstarters, and crowdfunded games, and more related to board gaming for the past 2 weeks. At the end, I'll also be sharing what's going on behind the scenes with my YouTube channel, Meeple Mentor. So stick around, we've got a lot to cover. Leave me a like and comment on what kinds of updates that you want to hear more about. To make sure you don't miss my news updates, new video tutorials, and our podcast episodes, be sure to subscribe on YouTube and your preferred streaming platform. Let's take a look at the crowdfunding for this week. First, on Kickstarter is a worker placement board game in which you play the role of a fictional comic book publisher during the golden age of comics. Age of Comics: The Golden Years is a medium-light game that uses cards to represent comic books and tokens as fans. Collect and publish your comics and fill the best sales orders. 1 to 4 players ages 14 and up can enjoy this game, and with a playtime of 1 hour to 110 minutes. Again, it's on Kickstarter until October 19th. Next up, choose your side in the war between Atreides and Harkonnen. Muster your forces and employ your unique strategies to rule over Arrakis. Dune: War for Arrakis is on Kickstarter until September 22nd. Action dice determine what players may do, such as deployment, strategy, leadership, or mentat. Each faction has access to their own deck of planning cards. This game is for 1 to 4 players ages 14 and up and has a playtime of 2 hours. Cookie Run Kingdom, the board game, is on Kickstarter until October 20th. The casual RPG game with 200 million downloads is now a board game. It's a worker placement, territory building game. Tile placement also comes into play with the construction of buildings and landmarks, even upgrading your cookie castle. It's for 2 to 4 players ages 14 and up and plays in 30 minutes. A 1 to 4 player game with area control and variable player powers called Mushroom Sorcerer is now on Kickstarter. Battle other players and win the seat of the Great Sorcerer. Collect spells, create potions, and vie for influence using tiles, war dice, and resource management. It's for 1 to 4 players ages 14 and up and plays for 45 to 90 minutes. It's funding until October 3rd. Level 0 NPCs search a dungeon to see what treasure adventurers may leave behind. They just need a good way to split up all the loot. Loot Dispute is a drafting and set collection card game that's funding on Kickstarter until October 6th. Join the crew of the Spark Asteroid Fields, and space pirates await you in this fast-paced, cooperative hybrid game for 1 to 4 players. Spark Riders 3000 is played with an IRIS application that is represented on the board and speaks and plays with you. Adapt quickly to avoid seeing your ship destroyed in this game for 1 to 4 players. It has a playtime of 1 hour and is on Kickstarter until October 4th. Age of Inventors is a new resource management and worker placement game in which players run their lab, purchase equipment, and recruit inventors as Einstein, Edison, and Tesla, and help them advance humanity's progress. It's for 1 to 4 players ages 14 and up and plays in over an hour. It's funding on Kickstarter until October 10th. Ring Rivals brings the contests of the squared circle to the tabletop. Clothesline, Moonsault, and DDT your way to victory with 2 to 4 players in the wrestling card game where rivalries are settled or born. The goal is to wipe out your opponent's stamina before pinning them in this quick-fire game for ages 10 and up. It has a playtime of 15 to 45 minutes, and you can back it on Kickstarter until October 20th. A mythical action-adventure campaign full of surprising twists with a sprawling story and intense fights has hit Kickstarter. Fate Forge Chronicles of Khan plays in sessions of under an hour in an RPG-like co-op for 1 to 4 players. The app-driven narrative sees the use of a sort of virtual game master that handles the bookkeeping, tells the story, and remembers your choices in both combat and story scenes. Combat dice can be used, each as individual actions or to build a chain reaction. This game is for ages 14 and up, and you can back it on Kickstarter until October 11th. Celebrate 10 years of Kingdom Builder with new artwork and deluxe components in Kingdom Builder Anniversary Edition, now on Kickstarter until October 1st. Players create their own kingdoms by skillfully placing their settlements on the game board map, aiming to earn the most gold at the end of the game. This tile placement game is for 2 to 5 players, ages 14 and up, and plays in 45 minutes. In Dungeon Bra, a comical deck crawler card game, you're on the most noble quest of all, to not die. Assemble your band of heroes, each with their own unique stats, pilfer the dungeon for weapons and swag, avoid monsters when you're weak, and battle them for their loot when you're stacked. When things aren't going your way, change the rules of the game or steal from your fellow dungeon divers. It's for 2 to 4 players ages 14 and up and plays in 45 minutes to an hour. It's on Kickstarter until October 20th. Revengeance Story is a board game of identity concealment, dark fantasy, and battle for 4 to 9 players ages 10 and up. This 30-minute game uses simultaneous movement, card combos, dice combat, resource management, and more, and it's funding on Kickstarter until October 9th. Build forts and toss water balloons in an epic tabletop showdown that takes you back to your childhood in this real-time strategy game, Fortify. Roll dice to fortify and throw water balloons in this light-hearted but competitive game. It's for 2 players ages 8 and up and plays in 15 minutes. Back it on Kickstarter until October 20th. Moku Tower, The Endless Column, is also on Kickstarter until October 20th. In this interactive home decor tabletop game with cultural wood art, build the endless columns with handcrafted wooden rocks. This dexterity game can be played by 2 to 6 people. It's for ages 7 and up and plays in 20 to 30 minutes. 9 new expansions for the tile-laying board game Fences have hit Kickstarter in one campaign. Each expansion adds a new unique layer to establish gameplay. Fences is a tile-laying game at its heart, but each player receives a profile card which scores types of animals based on the farmer profile. You can now raise chickens, but watch out for the sly fox. You can ride a horse, drive tractors, and even sell your animals at the market. You can back it until October 15th. Can you take the heat, or are you ready to get roasted? Hot Potatoes is a take-that strategy card game delivering big upsets and wild wins. The game is packed with potatoes, puns, and pop culture for every kind of player. It's for 2 to 5 players and provides 20 to 60 minutes of playtime. Back it on Kickstarter until October 20th. Lastly, on Kickstarter, Majesty of Dragons is available for backing until October 21st. It's a 2-player strategy board game where you have to create an army of dragons and defeat your opponent in 5 different ways. This 25 to 40 minute duel game is for ages 12 and up. Moving on to GameFound, Nexus Scrapyard sees you and up to 3 friends taking turns as entrepreneurs looking for affordable Civ ships to purchase from Sid's Scrapyard. Each turn, you take actions to customize the available Civ ships and hire a crew to ensure you can buy the best Civ ships in the scrapyard or sabotage your friends. The GameFound campaign for Nexus Scrapyard launches on September 23rd. In Pueblo, you are a master builder. Cleverly disguise your 3D blocks within your village out of the line of sight of the chieftain. After placing, the chieftain moves around the grid, and you take penalty points for any blocks straight within his line of sight. The player with the least points wins. Pueblo is for 2 to 4 players ages 10 and up and plays for 60 minutes. You can back it until October 9th. Kingdom Come, the board game, is now available funding on GameFound. It's a brand new cooperative living RPG game for 1 to 4 players that lets you explore the authentic historical world of Kingdom Come Deliverance with a captivating story, voice acting, and a unique socially immersive experience. This cooperative and dice RPG is for 1 to 4 players ages 14 and up and provides 4 hours of playtime. It's funding until October 7th. Finally, in our crowdfunding news, we have Core Connection Nabla Conspiracy. In this robot anime-inspired deck-building card game for 2 to 4 players, you can pick between 6 different pilots and robots as the game progresses, 36 possibilities in all, and in true robot anime fashion, each pilot and robot gets to awaken and unleash its true abilities. It's for ages 14 and up and provides a playtime of 45 minutes. It's funding on GameFound until October 6th. Changing over to industry news, Funko Games unveiled Something Wild, Marvel Holiday Baby Groot, a card game featuring Marvel licensed characters for release in September 2022. In this game, players will try to match up cards with Marvel characters on them to create sets and runs. Something Wild Marvel Holiday Baby Groot is for 2 to 4 players ages 6 and up. The Origins Awards returns after a stint of being delayed by the pandemic and other issues. Now the awards for 2022 will be announced at Gamma Expo 2023 and will include new categories to better reflect the makeup of the new board structure and the membership. Due to the company's distribution transition, fewer titles, and a tough comparison to the year ago period, IDW Publishing's direct market sales were down $1.1 million in the company's Q3 ending July 31st. The Game Manufacturers Association has hired Julie Yeager to become their new exhibitor manager. Yeager is a longtime games industry veteran with a decade of experience. In her new role, she will be the primary contact for exhibitors for Origins and Gamma Expo. She will also help recruit new exhibitors for these shows and manage exhibitor requests at shows. In a move that could affect the sales of games, graphic novels, and many other products, California Attorney General Rob Bonta has filed a lawsuit against Amazon, alleging that the online retailer stifles competition by penalizing wholesale suppliers and third-party sellers who offer lower prices on other platforms. The lawsuit asks the court to stop Amazon from entering into or enforcing anti-competitive agreements, notify sellers that it does not require them to match Amazon prices on other platforms, and appoint a monitor to ensure compliance. In addition, the lawsuit asks for penalties and damages. Renegade has been steadily adding staff to their RPG unit over the course of 2021, now hiring Jason Keeley to their role-playing game team as a product developer. In his role at Renegade, he will be helping craft upcoming RPG books and adventures for Power Rangers, Transformers, G.I. Joe, and My Little Pony. Lastly, in industry news, board game classic Catan leads the tabletop nominations for this year's National Toy Hall of Fame hopefuls, joining the likes of Card Game Phase 10, Bingo, and The Spinning Top. The 12 finalists will be voted on via a public Player's Choice ballot, which will serve as the 23rd member of a separate advisory committee that will determine the overall winners. This year's winners will be announced and inducted into the National Toy Hall of Fame on November 10th. Asmodee is first in our new game announcements with the unveiling of a release date for San Francisco, a new deck-building game designed by Reiner Knizia. In this game, players take on the roles of urban planners looking to redevelop the cityscape of this iconic coastal city. This game is for 2 to 4 players ages 12 and up and plays in 45 to 60 minutes. It will be released into retail October 7th. In other Asmodee news, they have unveiled Star Wars The Clone Wars, a pandemic system game, a new board game for release as a Target online exclusive on September 19th, and then worldwide to select retailers on October 1st. In Star Wars The Clone Wars, a pandemic system game, players assume the roles of one of 7 Jedi to help defend the Republic from Count Dooku and General Grievous. This game is for 1 to 5 players ages 14 and up. Catan Studios unveiled Catan Scenario The Helpers for release in Q4. This new scenario pack adds 12 helper characters to Games of Catan. These helpers each have specialized skills that can aid settlements in tasks such as driving off robbers, adding makeshift roads, or choosing development cards. 2 starter sets for Car Wars 6th edition has been unveiled by Steve Jackson Games to be released into retail October 5th. These starter sets are geared up to get 2 players into the game faster. Ruby Combat, released back in 2018, has a new expansion coming to it. Arcane Wonders will release Team JNPR expansion into retail on October 5th. It introduces 4 unique huntsmen to fight alongside Team Ruby. The Haven Initiative, an incentive program for friendly local game stores for Vampire the Masquerade Rivals expandable card game, announced by Renegade Games Studios, will begin in October. The initiative will track Rivals events held at friendly local game stores and give stores that host events a chance to win prizes related to the OP program. Ares Games revealed The Rich and the Good, a new edition of Carlo Rossi's Have and Gut, for release into retail in January 2023. This new edition of Have and Gut, a commodities trading game that was originally released back in 2008, has few new bells and whistles added onto it. In this game, players take on the roles of competitors with insider trading information regarding commodities. The game is for 2 to 5 players ages 13 and up and plays in 45 minutes. Steamforged Games has revealed plans to produce a tabletop board game based on the Bandai Namco computer game Elden Ring. In Elden Ring, the board game, up to 4 players become tarnished, making their way through the lands between, a world of decayed grandeur that they explore over the course of the game. During their adventures, they can encounter locations, characters, and enemies from the computer game and fight battles using miniatures and a dice-free combat system designed to challenge their ability to strategize and adapt. The next entry in the King of Tokyo board game series will be a co-op board game called Monster Island. The upcoming board game was initially revealed at the Essenspiel 2021 convention. No details regarding gameplay were provided. Flashback Zombie Kids is the latest release in the board game series for children and will have players examining various scenarios in search of clues. As investigators, players will be examining a number of cases by hunting for details in a deck of cards featuring illustrations containing key pieces of information important to the story. A prequel introductory case for Flashback Zombie Kids is available to play for free online right now, with the full board game set to arrive in November. The latest entry in the Role Player series is a tile-laying board game created by designer for both BioShock and Brothers in Arms, Jason Lintz. Dawn of Ulos sees players becoming one of 5 playable gods, each of whom agree to take part in a game in which mortals are their playthings. The Kickstarter crowdfunding campaign for Dawn of Ulos is live until September 27th. The studio behind 7 Wonders and Just One, Repos Production, has revealed its next co-op party board game. Fun Facts sees players working together to figure out the answers to questions about each other. Designed to support from 4 to 8 people, Fun Facts challenges its players to consider their answers in relation to the other people at the table, with the aim being to put them in the correct order. There is not yet a release date. Wilmot's Warehouse, the indie video game gem about sorting boxes in a warehouse, is being adapted into an official board game. In this game, the player must unload a series of objects represented by simple square icons and freely arrange them within their warehouse. After the delivery phase timer runs out, the player must race to fulfill the demands of customers who request specific items, retrieving the objects from wherever they were stored. The board game will be at this year's EGX London, hosted by Dicebreaker owner Reed Pop, where a prototype will be playable in the event's tabletop demo zone. EGX London will take place from September 22nd to 25th. Publisher Heidelbar brings you a new game by designer Thomas Sellner, with artwork by Mayra Guadalupe Ornelas Ramos, entitled Tales on Fire. Each round, players will construct a hand of 3 cards and choose one to play on their turn. The card they play must be 1 value higher than the last card. If you cannot play or choose not to play a card, then you are out of the round. The last player standing not only collects the card from the display, but also other cards that opponents have already won that match the value of the card on the display. Tales on Fire plays 2 to 6 players ages 10 and up and has an estimated play time of 20 minutes. Stonemaier Games are releasing Smitten, a cooperative micro game designed and published in celebration of their 10th anniversary. In Smitten, 1 to 2 players work to complete 2 identical 3x3 grids of of cards with limited information and communication. The game has multiple levels of difficulty and separate solo and two-player modes. Smitten will primarily be available on the Stonemaier Games web store sometime mid-September and will be included free with other purchases. Publisher Matago is releasing St. Patrick, a trick-taking game designed by Haig Tata and Sasha Tata Alexander, co-designers of Salvage. It's played over several rounds for 25 to 30 minutes and is intended for 2 to 4 players. The goal is to retain the most life points while hunting snakes and recovering relics. As the title name implies, there's an element of luck as you keep pushing for relics and increase the chance of disaster by suffering snake bites. It is expected to release in October. Winter is a 2-player abstract game published by Devir and was the winner of the 2021 Cardboard Edison Award. The game was originally published in 2016, but now has a new edition with revised mechanisms. It is suitable for players ages 8 and up and lasts about 10 minutes. The theme revolves around players freezing then unfreezing a lake while choosing key spaces to control ahead of their rival, and is expected to release in mid-September. Origins First Builders, designed by Adam Kwapinski with artwork by Zebnu Mgulter and Alexander Sawada, was first published by Board and Dice in 2021, and now, to add more goodness to the game, the publisher has announced the release of its first expansion, Origins Ancient Wonders. The expansion adds 2 new modules to the Origins First Builders game, which can be added in separately or mixed together. It has an expected release date of October. Luby Edition has announced their next game, Time Collectors. Time Collectors is designed by Mareva Bouchon and Florian Serlot from Imaginarium and has artwork from Martin Maigret. It is a dice rolling game where players roll d10s and organize them to create years in which they will travel. You can use time crystals to change your dice. You are trying to collect riches and achievements in order to create the most beautiful collection. Time Collectors is listed as a 2023 release, however, copies will be available at Essen this October. It plays 2 to 4 players, 20 to 40 minutes, in ages 10 and up. Deep Print Games has announced Beer and Bread, a 2-player game releasing in Q4. Players take on the role of 2 neighboring villages competing to be the best at producing beer and bread. The villages share fields and available resources. The game is played over 6 years, alternating between fruitful and dry years, which impacts the harvest. Players will draft multi-use cards to harvest and store resources, produce beer and bread, selling them for coins, with which you can upgrade your facilities. At the end of the game, each player will only score the coins collected from beer or bread, whichever good they have earned fewer coins from selling. In Beast, players take on their roles of specialized hunters and one player becomes the beast. The hunters track the beast's player's hidden movement and can only find the beast if they search a location or the beast attacks. On the other side, the beast uses a deck of direction cards in order to trick the hunters while it moves through forests, swamps, and caverns. Pegasus Spiel will unleash Beast for release in Q4. It's for 2 to 4 players ages 14 and up and plays in 30 minutes. Stoneblade Entertainment announced that Soulforge Fusion's release date has been pushed back due to shipping issues. Soulforge Fusion was scheduled to arrive at FLGS's on September 22nd. However, due to shipping issues in parts of the North American market, the release date has been pushed back to October 13th. In Ole Guacamole, players reveal a new card each turn with letters on it. The players must say a word that is related to the first word said, but avoid using words with the face-up letters. When a player fails to do so, players at the table exclaim guacamole, and that player picks up all the cards in the pile. The game is for 2 to 8 players ages 10 and up and plays in 15 minutes. It's scheduled for release on October 19th. Pegasus Spiel revealed Spaceship Unity Season 1.1, a new cooperative sci-fi adventure game for release into retail in October. In Spaceship Unity, players will transform their homes into an interplanetary alliance spaceship to explore the galaxy. They will turn everyday household objects such as an umbrella, a vacuum cleaner, and books into objects that represent parts of a spaceship system. The game is for 2 to 4 players ages 10 and up and plays in 60 to 120 minutes. Additionally, Pegasus Spiel will release Caldera Park, a new tile-laying puzzle board game by Michael Kiesling and Wolfgang Kramer, into US retail in October this year. In Caldera Park, players are tasked with grouping animals of the same species together into families that are as large as possible, while still allowing the animals access to watering holes and avoiding bad weather. This game is for 1 to 4 players ages 10 and up and plays in 30 to 40 minutes. Strap on your racing gear and rocket down straightaways to Victory Lane. Days of Wonder unveiled Heat, Pedal to the Metal, a new Grand Prix racing game for release in Q4. Players will battle for position as they head towards the finish line, all while trying to prevent their car from overheating. This game is for 1 to 6 players ages 10 and up and plays in 60 minutes. Ghibli fans, root lovers, and hardcore Eurogamers unite. There's a stunning new board game about woodland spirits in town, and its name is Arborea. It's a mixture of worker placement game and shared resources Eurogame. Arborea will play with up to 5 people, including a solo mode, and will be available to demo at German board game fair Essenspiel next month, ahead of a Kickstarter campaign, which is planned to launch later this year or into early 2023. In Council of Shadows, each player represents a galactic civilization that is vying to gain a spot that is opened up in the titular Council of Shadows. In order to secure your spot on the council, you must take control of important areas, secure the strongest actions, supply energy, and make 3 quantum leaps in order to prove that you are the most deserving of the spot on the council. Council of Shadows plays 1 to 4 players ages 14 and up, with an estimated playtime of 60 to 90 minutes. It will be making its presence known at Essenspiel this year. Cryptozoic Entertainment updated details on Injustice: Gods Among Us for DC deck building game, which will release into retail in Q1 2023. Injustice is a standalone set for DC deck building game that was originally announced back in 2021. It is based on the Injustice: Gods Among Us video games and comic books. This set introduces clash cards in an impossible mode. It is for 2 to 4 players ages 15 and up and plays in 60 minutes. Lastly, for the new game announcements, 2 new games and a new expansion will be coming from Rio Grande Games soon. Woodcraft, Findorf, and the Franco-German Rails expansion for Gulf, Mobile, and Ohio each take around an hour to play. In Woodcraft, the players operate woodworking shops, growing, cutting, gluing, and buying materials to complete their projects. It's intended for 1 to 4 players. Findorf combines resource management and engine building mechanics, challenging players to construct buildings and railroad tracks as they try to complete historical structures from the 19th and early 20th centuries, and is for 1 to 5 players. Rounding out the trio of the new titles is Franco-German Rails, an expansion for the Gulf, Mobile, and Ohio game. This expansion transports the action of the game to either Germany or France using 2 new maps. It's intended for 3 to 5 players and plays in under an hour. Let's talk for a little bit about what's going on with my YouTube channel, Meeple Mentor. I put out a lot of unboxing videos lately. First was for Flamecraft, a cute dragon worker placement kind of game. The components are amazing. Really fun game too. I unboxed Love Letter, Princess Ever After, the newest edition of the Love Letter card game series. The art looks wonderful in it. I unboxed Lowlands, a cool and unique Euro game about building up dikes around your sheep and fences to protect them from rising waters. Lastly, I filmed an unboxing for Expedition to Newdale. This is an Alexander Pfister game based on his card game Oh My Goods. I really enjoy it as it's another of his games that has cards with multiple uses and effects. The last tutorial video on the channel was for New York Slice. It's the ever popular and go-to game of I cut, you choose. Cutting up a pizza to share with everyone makes for a good time. Coming soon will be a tutorial for Libertalia, Winds of Galecrest from Stonemaier Games. I'll also be working on tutorials soon for games like Clank, a deck building adventure game, Perseverance, Castaway Chronicles, Episode 1, and Flamecraft. Stick around. Thanks for tuning in to today's news update. I appreciate your support. And remember, teach when you can, but always be learning. Until next time, see you later.